Hi, Kiki.
Hello, Fisayo.
Good to have you here.
Yes, good to see you.
I know you as Kiki, but I guess one or two people watching this don't know you that much.
It's true. I mean, you're bigger than me in this business, so
So you
I
say,
will introduce myself. My name is Kiki Mordi, and I'm an investigative journalist.
Kiki Mordi. Did your mom name you Kiki?
Well, yeah, my dad gave me Kiki, but
Okay,
it's coined from Nkiru, which you're not allowed to call me.
good. Or
I'm
which
just kidding.
I alone am allowed to call you.
Hmm. Yes, yes, you're allowed
Okay.
to call me Nkiru. But every other person calls me Kiki Mordi. I think it sort of distinguishes my job from my personal life. So on the job is Kiki to you, sir. And then maybe Nkiru later.
Okay. So your journey into journalism, how did it start?
Um, I'd always admired journalists because there was something so pure about the work that they did. It was so genuine and it was coming from a place of just wanting to tell stories or tell the truth. And I love that, even though I never really saw myself in that space. But along the line, pursuing my passion in storytelling, I found myself in journalism and then investigative journalism, and it has been the most exciting thing that has happened to me.
First, Fisayo Soyombo is the name. A fairly popular public health practitioner in Nigeria convinced me to join the press, the campus press. And at the end of first semester under level, when people went home, I stayed back on campus and I thought about my life for 2 weeks and I made a conscious decision to become a journalist.
From 100 level.
Yes, from under level.
But you still continued with.
I still continue. And then I made a rule for myself. Whenever I had to choose between agriculture and journalism, I would choose journalism, unless, with the exception of CATs and exams. So I left my classes a lot of times to go for press meetings. A lot of lecturers didn't really like me because I was always leaving their classes. So, how did you get into journalism? What was your first story like?
My first story, I remember my first job was on radio. I was a student broadcaster. And then, for some weird reason, a lot of people stayed like 2 years before getting a chance at a live show. I got mine in like a month.
Wow.
And it just felt like people would want to listen to you. So go ahead, go for it. I say it was a weekend show though. It wasn't one of the big ones during the weekdays. And my very first story was my story, but I framed it as an anonymous story. A story of a young girl who was enduring sexual harassment from her lecturer. And I had a lot of students calling, people were telling their stories. People were even naming lecturers, and I was afraid. So I would end the call because I didn't want anything to be on my head at the time. So from that space where you were in 100 level, knowing that you always wanted to do journalism, to this point where you've been announced as the winner for the prize for journalism.
Joint winner.
Joint
Joint
winner,
winner.
yeah. But like, how did you feel the first time you found out?
Oh, I felt it was an opportunity to further shine some light on Nigeria's criminal justice system. And this award offers a fresh opportunity to talk about action.
To ask that question again, I think I understand that. And I have personally heard people say, oh, give it some time, it would water down. But for me, I think this award for me was coming from a different place because this is like the very first big story that I've done. And the next option people were giving me was to leave the country. And it didn't make sense to me because we have good stories coming out of Nigeria, and the first suggestion is to leave. Like, who would remain, right? So I also understand them because there is no love for journalists. There is no, how many funding programs do we have in Nigeria? So this coming with money, attaching money to it is sort of encouraging you for your good work. And it means stay here, it's fine. Keep telling Nigerian stories. If no one else supports you, I mean, we will in our own way. So that was what it was for me.
October 2019, when you released Sex for Grades and people started getting to know Kiki Mordi, what was the journey like? What were the tough times? Let's start from the tough times, then we get to the good times.
It was really tough because the biggest problem I had was the fact that I didn't have a degree. So getting jobs meant I had to try to prove myself twice as hard than others will. Financially, it wasn't easy. I mean, I wasn't paid for 2 years. I never got the idea of asking, I mean, I don't want to understand brown envelopes generally. I don't, if you're given, it's a different level from when you ask. I never really understood it.
If you're giving, it's also a problem.
It's a problem because
why you're giving.
It means that it's like
you're not Father Christmas.
You're trying to get me to skew.
You're not Father Christmas. I think we need a whole new show on brown envelope journalism.
True.
So let's get back to base.
Okay.
So which story would you describe as the one that gave you your big break? Let's not assume we know.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely Sex for Grades for sure, because it's apart from it being the most popular story, it's also the story of my personal journey. It's a story that I knew that I was always going to tell, and I told it. So it's like I'm not going to retire, but it's like I can take my hat off and be like, yes, I told this story. And I think there is an end to this story that I'm still going to tell. And I'm just going to finally feel like completely free from the shackle it had on me for a very long time. But yeah, that is like the most important story that I've ever told. The bravest thing I've done as a team, not just myself, is going through hundreds of testimonies against one person, knowing exactly what they're capable of, see them exhibit these patterns, and still put myself alone in the room with them, with that knowledge that something bad could happen, but also something good could come out of it. I think you would be aware of some of the risks. Getting caught before the story comes out, it ruins the story, which is annoying, but you might also get in trouble. I've had colleagues who have been locked up because of the stories they were telling in countries.
The cover was blown?
Yes, and they were locked up, footage deleted. It's like your 1 year of sweat is gone. There is also harm. You could get harmed no matter the amount of security. There's also mental health risks, which I feel like my anxiety increased after that one grueling year of investigating Sex for Grades. My anxiety is definitely worse now. So that's one thing you don't think about when it happens.
The authorities initially wanted to come after me, but then the luck I had was that it got out on the day the meeting. There was indeed a meeting where that was discussed. A lot of options, use the media, social influencers in particular, to counter my story, then come after me, use some provisions of the law. But the information got out pretty quickly, and then there was a lot of noise. So
the story is king because someone genuinely has to tell the story. It's riskier to pretend these things don't happen. It means we'll be living in a society where there is no accountability for people who do these things. I mean, it's one person at risk right now. It's Kiki Mordi at risk. Or without the story, it's all of us in the universities at risk. So it's like just damned if you do, damned if you don't. So you have to, the story is always king.
I would say be sure that you love journalism for the passion of it. I think investigative journalism is becoming fashionable. It wasn't like that when I decided to. In fact, I never decided I would be an investigative journalist. I decided I would become a journalist because I saw journalism as a tool for speaking for the voiceless, for fighting for the rights of people, for holding the government to account. So when I saw that, to do this, you have to be investigative.
Sure.
So I don't want up and coming journalists looking at a Kiki Mordi and liking the traction she has on Twitter and the fame and the popularity, and then they go, I want to be like that. No, do this simply for the love of the profession. Every other thing will follow if you do your job well. Do this not for the money. People come to me and say, there's a story I want to do. I need a grant. Can you help me get a grant? And I'm like, it's your first ever story. You don't need a grant. The easiest story to do is a story that requires you to be in a location where you observe, and then you write. So do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories first, then come asking for grant. But people come, no previous investigative story, and they're asking for grant. So not the money, and also a integrity. Understand that. I tell people, I teach a course in University of Ibadan once in a year, online, as like a guest lecture, just once a year. And I tell them, ask yourself, what are the most important things to you in life? If it is money, trust me, it's not a bad idea. You shouldn't feel bad for wanting money, especially if you now want to have it genuinely. Just know that you won't overcome Dangote as Africa's richest man by becoming a journalist. So if that's your dream, chase it outside journalism. But if you're not comfortable with the status quo, you want a better society, you don't like oppression, and you want to do something about it, do journalism because you have to do it with integrity. No brown envelopes, no biases. Do journalism for the love of the profession and the country.
Because the thing about passion is, if you get into this job thinking that, oh, you want to do it, but you're not passionate enough, there will be days where it's like so hard. And the literal only thing you have left is that passion. If not, you quit. A lot of people quit. A lot of people quit the story in the beginning. We started off as a number of people and we ended up as just like 3 or 4. So you have to be passionate. And again, there is no back door. You have to go through it, the 9 yards. You have to go through the entirety of it. And you also need to be thorough, which is a hard ask for a lot of Nigerian journalists, because there is no time. We don't afford ourselves enough time to be thorough. It took us a very long time. We could have easily had this during 2 months, but it took us over a year because we had to be sure. Because you have to come out with that confidence of people who would threaten you with lawsuits, and you have to feel very confident. You have to laugh. When they come with lawsuits, you have to laugh because you know that
knowing that you did your
very
own work
sure
very
and
well.
you did your due diligence.
So, after the People Journalism Prize for Africa, are we expecting another award from you?
I don't know. This is huge. Also, being a co-recipient with you is sort of amazing. So, but are we expecting another one from you?
Joint nominations? Yes.
Maybe if we work on a joint project together, it would be easier, right?
Let's tell Gate Feed about it.
Okay.